Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for the Professor Paul inviting me. A disclaimer, not necessarily focusing on politicians in my research, not specifically, but my research predominantly look at collective behaviors and for people collectively, they organize themselves for political reasons using social media vis-a-vis other types of social networks, including traditional social networks, and how it is translated into kind of on the ground or beyond online kind of politics. But of course, by doing so, I also have to look at how politicians use and engage with social media. So I'm kind of cheating, right? Like politician, cheating in my, and not necessarily, even though my bracket like Global South, I get used in my career to be labeled as a Global South person. You know, when I meet someone to talk about the rest of the world, which is bigger than the Global North, I'm that kind of person, but I'm not doing the whole Global South. My research predominantly falls in Southeast Asia and some country in North Africa and Middle East, so MENA region. I will start my talk with a little story. We in the Global South, we love food, right? Really good food. So I have to start with the story of food. On April 2nd this year, in the episodes of MasterChef UK, a Malaysian chef was eliminated from the quarter-final of the reality TV show. Probably you know that story. The judges has criticized the Malaysian-born chef, Saleha Kadir Olpin, rice meal, nasi lemak, with one judge, British judge named Greg Wallace, saying that the chicken rendang that accompanied the meal, the main dish, was not crispy enough. The skin, therefore, cannot be eaten. You know, in the Western world, like the skin has to be certain quality, right? So rendang, just to explain, rendang is a dry curry dish where the meat, could be chicken, could be beef, is stewed in coconut milk and spices until it is tender. If it is curry, therefore, it cannot be crispy, right? So, and that was enough to rile up most Malaysians, as well as Indonesian. Usually Malaysian and Indonesian fight over food, but this time they are united, but also Brunei, people from Brunei, and Singaporean, who all united in one voice, saying that chicken rendang should never be crispy. If nothing else, it also got the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Najib Razak, and his political nemesis, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, who is a former Prime Minister, on the same page. Basically, their message is the same. They are united for the first time in such a long time on social media. Don't mess with rendang, right? So here the British judge has done the impossible, managing to unite two rival political leader in defending Malaysian chef and Malaysian food. Why I'm telling this story, right? So basically, what happened was that, just a little bit of background. So Malaysian social media has become the place where there are two kind of camps. One is the pro-ruling party, pro-ruling coalition, which is pro-Mahathir Najib Razak, Prime Minister, versus the other one, which is the new old icon of the opposition. Interestingly, this prime minister actually was the one who actually appointed him as a golden child in politics. But eventually he was the chairman of ruling coalition. But eventually the opposition managed to, they didn't have like an icon for some reason, electoral movement for almost 9 years, actually 11 years. Eventually they take off on him. And by doing so, the social media too has become divided into two. So, and during the, right now, Malaysia will have its general election. Social media is basically have no space for other but polarizing messages driven by these two and other, a bunch of big celebrities, politicians, and under that there is a layer of micro celebrities who are celebrities, personalities who are big because of their role in social media, and you have paid buzzers on the underlayer that, and then you have bots, and then on the bottom is regular people who are dragged into polarized nature of media. While it seems to me that, it seems to all of us, okay, they are right, there is rivalry, essentially they both adopted certain style, populist style, right? It's more about personalities. Sometimes take on issue like this, popular issue, okay, just because everybody talk about this chicken, therefore all of us, right, all these politicians are doing that. But this is not typical to Malaysia, because it happens in other countries. I'm just showing you example, for example, right? Anytime Duterte of Philippines saying something really ridiculous or really sexist or really politically incorrect, therefore you have memes, everything, certain hashtag will emerge, and Filipinos would probably claim they have made global trend. Indonesian is the same thing. The conversation about what the president wears, what kind of sneaker he wears, actually take more conversation online rather than any policies. Nobody talk about that, right? And it happens in, generally, I would say, in the part of the global south that I'm researching. And I think it's great that I just followed Joyojit's preview earlier, because essentially what is missing here is a time to look at what's going on. Just simply what's going on in this global south. And while research predominantly revolve, first, it's not about what politicians say, but also that there are research on politicians and social media, but they are mostly involved in global north. This is from 2017. In reality, there are more space dedicated for politicians of global south online. Of course, that's like logical, because 2/3 of the world is global south, but also because India, Indonesia, right? It's all big countries actually are in the global south. Therefore, we don't even have to justify how actually important this study is. So just a little bit of little notes on methodology, what I have been doing for a while. I did some collaboration with predominantly quantitative with computational data, and my own study is like combining media archive analysis and ethnography and historical analysis, and eventually over time I have to kind of combine what I said, small big data. I'm medium size, so I'm medium mostly, and I'm so it's not really It's not even multidisciplinary. It's actually interdisciplinary. Or I like to call myself undisciplinary. I have no discipline. So my research relies on multiple methods combining small subset of big data approaches. The combination of small big data is selected here to not only connect apparent behavior to underlying meaning through conversation or interviews, small data, right? But also to situate these behavioral data trace around events, around activities that can be read through big data. So I see big data analysis as can provide a unique insight on how participant people, actors, politicians, regular citizens are interacting in complex media platform in ways that complement small data observation in the field. Big data approaches, in turn, can also benefit from a more qualitative insight into the implication of partiality and for social meaning attributed to data traces. I will not have time to really show you where to go, but I will kind of allude into it over time. So, how do we go about to look at the relationship between social media and politicians? Should we just look at, okay, how they communicate? How to really understand comprehensively? And I'm arguing that I think that kind of question needs to be contextualized. When I just look at several countries, which are from Southeast Asia and maybe some other countries, even though there are certain patterns, similarity, but there are certain sort of like differences that come out from existing context, not necessarily from social media or the interaction of politicians and social media per se. So, and this is kind of work in progress, but what I'm trying to do is just to look kind of like layers in which we want to include in our comprehension on how to read this interaction. First is what we commented. Obviously, how certain politicians might use social media will reflect kind of motivation and purpose, and social media could be seen as strategy or extension of that agenda. Therefore, in hindsight, this is the way I think, right? And I'm still in the process of collecting data to really confirm this. There should be several differences between authoritarian or modern style of literacy. But also there are things, right, like where politicians can allow interaction, real interaction with a citizen or something. But also who are people they are speaking to, which is we are talking about socioeconomic landscape, which you can measure by how many people actually are educated, how many people actually are middle class, how many people actually are unemployed. That's actually should be tailored in our consideration when looking at this interaction, this seemingly simple interaction. The third layer is media landscape. We cannot really separate the way social media being utilized for politics from the way social media connect to mainstream media. For example, how media is owned, media ownership, media concentration, media control, right? What is there any censorship or not? Because therefore, certain politicians will actually doing certain maneuvering through social media, whether in relation to that person or that politician actually doing to mainstream. For example, in the case of Malaysia or Philippines, where opposition happened in space and mainstream, right? Because mainstream media, I'm talking about TV and newspaper, are pretty much controlled by the state. Social media has become the only way. Therefore, it's kind of like that kind of positioning achieved the nature of tendencies on social media. And the top is technology, which is what kind of tool they use, but also what kind of tools that are popular in the people, which is different. I think essentially we are talking about China. We talk about completely different ways of connecting. And also, it doesn't make a big difference between a country where people are so chatty and have a lot of access to Facebook, for example, let's say Indonesia, Philippines, India, right? Than countries that have very small number of users. So these are I think common. Okay, so forget it. This is just I like to crash with numbers sometimes. Sometimes they're just useless, right? But it's sort of like give you kind of like big map on where are where, right? This is a better map, right? You look. This is a map to show where there are more citizen engagement. The bigger, and I use the measurement. The bigger is more engagement, and I juxtapose with internet and Facebook. As you can see, Asia easily are just have more users, right? But not necessarily more engaged. The gray one are not global south. They are in Asia, but South Korea is not global south. Singapore is not global south. They are considered developed countries. But you can see here actually, if we think very techno-deterministic, thinking, okay, if there are more people are going to be more engaged. There are people more resist using social media. That's actually not true. Middle East is case in point, where little usage of social media in many parts, and the internet is still sketchy, but they have engagement, for example. So these are actually should be taken into sort of like into our consideration. Another one is speaking of political landscape, right? Certainly politician, but also citizen, including netizen, digital citizen, social media citizen, deal with different issues and deal with differently in less democratic countries, and which imply the more authoritarian leadership than in countries that are more democratic. And it has different kind of pattern. But also, this is what I'm talking about media ownership. This is one of the example. I have this ambitious someday it will not happen until I die, and I want to map every single countries, but or Southeast Asia at least, right? Look at this. Even though there are many media, talking TV, they are actually owned just by 13 entities, and these 13 entities easily break down into two at any time before the election. And then to understand how social media is, I sometimes cater, social media feed cater to this dynamic. That's why they're easily hijacked. They really want to be the feeder, right? When social media say something, they want to be the feeder for mainstream media. So in a way, they are not really a free agent because they are shaped by the very landscape, the very existing landscape of media in their own country. So I'm just showing you. So those are sort of like the layer that I take into consideration in doing my research and in classifying what kind of factor I want to see in looking at the media. And when it comes to big data, the easy way, of course, all of you, I see the poster, right? Looking at the network, and you look at the linguistic whether there's some simple ways of doing it like Good Club or others. But surprisingly, even just doing a very quick social network analysis here, modeling of, let's say, these are Twitters of Assisi. This is Egypt, the lower one. And then Saudi, right, Saudi leader. And then Duterte of the Philippines. This is Jokowi of Indonesia. And this one is Najib Razak, right? So you could see actually very different modeling in terms of, you can see this one, the more democratic you see, less, the more cluster like this. The more democratic style, I'm not saying Indonesia is democracy, it's not, probably semi-nice in transition, but the style of communication is more democratic. You see this from this going to this, and everything else is in between. And by capturing the very deeply, right, you see how actually there is sort of like from big data you get a hint that when I was talking about, oh, okay, so there is the difference. And you go deeper, you all show into what kind of version. Is it what they tweet, right? How many they tweet? Do they have followers? What kind of followers they have? And my preliminary findings show this thing. And there is no democratic ones. There is no democratic country in the country that I studied. But there is a range of from authoritarian style to democratic style, which I put in the example from Al-Sisi to Jokowi. In the middle is Najib Razak. Very certainly, there is a different way of communication. The authoritarian leader tend to be unidirectional. And in fact, most of them have like no whatsoever conversation. And if you check Al-Sisi, for example, his last 3 tweets are on showing some very formal meeting with other country leader, with photographs showing, hey, you know, I'm influential, basically saying, Egypt is great, we are going to the right direction, we are making a big influence in the country, in the global sector. And for more multi-directional, I would say it's not as multi-directional like sometimes like Obama, someone like Obama, simply for the democratic country, but going towards that direction. Jokowi has more direction, as taking retweet other type of tweet than just reporting what he does. And the more authoritarian leaders also tend to perform on corporate power through images, through sort of like simple statement, and definitely actually projecting nationalism tend to go to big narratives, meta narrative, and absolute power. While the more democratic, they are not necessarily discussing policy, but they are projecting policy statements, which is not policy issues. But they try to craft language that show policy changes, progress in development. And this is the easy one to see is basically any author that follow one or two or none. And if they follow a very homogeneous network of elites. It's their own kind of people, right? While the more democratic one, they follow more, and they follow more diverse accounts. Whether it is really show the attempt to have more plural politics, probably not, but it is performing pluralism rather than sort of flexible. And then also, from the social network analysis, you could see more replies, which is signified dialogues. Again, I'm not claiming that they have real dialogue, but sort of like performing a kind of engagement with citizens here. Here, they don't really care of performing an engagement. It's not necessarily at all, right? And humor, which is kind of interesting. Just no humor at all. And the more you go that way, the funnier, right? The funnier. The CCTV, the leader are actually very willing to take on any humor, including like kind of like themselves, anti-personality kind of humor. They take on it as a mechanism to actually to create another moments of image management. But having said that, even though they are diverse, it's sort of like they're divergent in terms of their approach to communication. Essentially, they're projecting the same thing. It's actually all around image management, personality-based, rather than building through sort of like comprehensive understanding of the policy or something of substance. And not even ideology. Because ideology seemingly is relevant in this kind of interaction. So when I look at this thing, I think that the tendency to while all of this existing, right, existing political landscape, existing media landscape matter and shape the way they project themselves, these leaders in these countries, they somehow negotiate and being shaped by the same, there is one current that actually mold them to have certain style. When I think look at this, I think it's the sort of like historical trajectory of politics and marketing in pre-social media. The fact that over time we had the trend, right? Historical trend that politics and marketing has become one. When we speak of political communication, especially during the electoral campaigns, we are essentially talking about political marketing. And this is actually the source of that's undercurrent that mold any leader who are using, any political leader who are using social media, where politics equal marketing. And this has become so amplified, it has been there for a while, but no one has become that. Well, even before social media, right? And of course, 1990s is the peak of export of American political consultant. They're talking about James Carfile going to the South after consulting for Bill Clinton, for example. So the Americanization, we are not necessarily talking about certain consultants, certain kind of marketing strategy, but we are talking about Americanized political consultancies that shape the global South. And I'm seeing it in Southeast Asia. CSL, for example, the Cambridge Analytica mother company, has been working in Southeast Asia since the mid-90s, in Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia. And that's played a big part in terms of what to do, in terms of strategy and tactics. So what consultancy do, they have very basic like spreadsheet on what to do, and these are generally what they brought to the region, to the political. So they provide finance, right? Legal, tax, accounting service. So you could fundraising, you could like show, we are transparent, for example, right? They provide expertise in buying television time, placing radio and television commercial, consulting the capture and analyze television commercial, by the opponent and the racist. Also, increasingly, they depend on specialists who can actually provide technological aid. They include research, qualitative, quantitative survey research, focus good, and voter demographic and database, and predictive analysis. These were before social media. But the coming social media and big data just amplify this. Because now it is easier to have voter and demographic database, not to the extent what Cambridge Analytica does, but many consulting firms actually sell, right? But also they work with commercial marketing advertiser basically buying clicks, for example. And I know some people in the region who are doing that for many countries in the world. And Asia is a hub for that. Actually, well, I would say India, Indonesia are very good actually helping, including President of America, to buy bonds, right? So this is I think what is happening here with the combination of social media and data science, right? Data mining, I would say, and the tendency of politics and marketing to be one, creating the emphasis on branding, personalization, create what in marketing 101 experience, right? They call it like that. It's actually business language of marketing. And this is being merging seemingly fit perfectly well. You don't even have to tailor anymore. Just perfect. You want to sell Nike, what kind of Nike for certain demographic? That's how you want to sell a politician. You brand them, you create a kind of like instant gratification, right? That any voter will have certain intimate relationship, and it works through affect and emotion rather than rationality. So of course there is fake news. Of course we are in the post-truth era because this is what we're doing, right? And social media amplifies all of these things. Data, segmentation, targeting. That's a marketing word that's being used by consultancy. And all of this create a certain, actually there is a flavor. There is a homogeneous flavor all over the world. And especially through the Global South, because I think if compared to Europe, there is a more Americanization kind of political consultancy marketing. So social media doesn't necessarily invent all of this thing. But social media itself has always been, right? Is about economy of attention. There's so many information. There's so many information passes. Paradox of time and space and information. You want to reach the space as wide as possible, and you have to deal with the fast information, but you have to make it personal. Therefore, you deal with basically how to sell, politics like sell the album of Beyonce, right? How to make it blink, how to make it memeable, right? Shrinking bites happened before social media. TV, I think there is a research showing that in the 70s to today, like shrinking like 700%, something like that. So it's not like social media fits more certain ideology because it's not designed for certain ideology. But by nature, all of these factors combined, that social media amplifies certain things. This is, I think, kind of curious that you mentioned earlier, that social media actually is friendly to something, any artifact, any content that fits the culture of consumer culture principle, right? Light package, I call it like light package, very light, right? And trailer vision, right? If it is not, it's a real explanation, nobody buys it, but it is a trailer, you can understand, right? And headline appetite. If you cannot really massage, package your message into headline, okay. Headline appetite is clickable. Right? So all of this actually emphasis on personalization of politics becoming more extreme, that has been going on. Right? Mediatization, where the mediation of content has become more important than the content itself. The mediation of policy has become more important than policy itself. And the popularization of politics. How to reach that popular nature, how is hot, what is hip, what is available in popular domain. That's what happened. How is another type? Yeah, so I'm looking at hours at the end. So this is in terms of product, this is what we see, right? Iconic, automatically, simplified, human. This has become the goal. What to produce by all of this work, hard work on social media, when you tweet, what kind of thing you tweet, what kind of picture. This is actually the goal, because the only goal is to create the likeness of virality. And virality is actually nothing to do with quality. And obviously, this is my last slide. By all of these factors combined, unfortunately, it works for certain kind of politics. Of course, it works for populist style, because that's what populist style is about, reducing complexity, right? To project certain message that is so populist that any popular to actually command. And by certain type of utilization, and there is also certain ideology that is actually become more prominent, to take advantage even more so. Because the nature of that ideology actually fit the shrinking bites. Like for example, nationalistic fundamentalism, religious fundamentalism, but also market fundamentalism, right? And anything that has more nuance will have the difficulties, because the nature of it has already like compounded into a certain direction. And it's very exclusionary, because you have to reduce the noise, anything that actually subvert the stability of certain message. And what I see in Asia especially is the rise of inter-tribal nationalism. Nationalism that is so exclusionary, and this kind of nature perfectly fit that kind of politician who have very strong flair of nationalistic message, style, but also so exclusionary, actually sell that very well. And in result, it creates a kind of polarizing landscape. It's either authoritarian and some suppressed opposition, or two, right? A and anti-A, for example. And the way social media shape and being shaped landscape by this increasingly market-driven, increasingly populist nature actually result in polarizing citizen, or also citizen that is like cluster within what I call algorithmic enclaves. Enclaves when they become cluster based on certain homogeneous agenda and identity and ideology that's more exclusionary. That's the end of my talk. Thank you.